Okay. All right, everyone. We definitely want to thank you for coming on the line tonight. As you can see, we have people from all over the planet coming on to this call. And it's such a testament to the opportunity available to all of us to grow and raise up our emotional intelligence and how that can impact our results. And so we are very passionate about this topic, and we feel privileged to be able to share it with you. So what I'm going to do is I am going to pull up a PowerPoint so that you can actually see and experience the message as well. If you do have questions, go ahead and type that into the comments box or type it into the questions box. And then we're going to get this party started. Let's see here. I am going to share my screen, and hopefully someone can take some pictures of all these fabulous, gorgeous people before I share my screen, because I definitely want I want to be able to see you all. When I share my screen, I don't get to see you in full form. So let's see here. Okay, so we have Raise Your Emotional Intelligence, and we're gonna go with slideshow. How's that for, love it. Okay, and I'm gonna pull up the chat. Okay, here we go. Okay, and then let's make this. All right, here we go. And so this is where we're going to get this party started. How does emotional intelligence increase results? And let's talk about our focus. So I want you to do this really quickly with me. I want you to take your hands and I want you to bring them closer together. Okay, focus. This is actually a strategy that you can use because there is so much distraction, deterring noise that is around us. There's buzzes and alarms and all sorts of things happening around us. And sometimes children, for those of us who are homeschooling, you know, I've got several options with homeschoolers here in my house. I have one husband and 8 children, so lots of homeschooling happening, and being able to center ourselves is so important. So this strategy of taking your hands and bringing them closer together will serve you well. And again, this will support you to focus. So we're going to talk about the distinctions between EI, emotional intelligence, and EQ, your emotional quotient. And those sometimes can interchange. So we're going to talk about those distinctions. You're also going to discover how to incorporate emotional intelligence building techniques. So this is how do we build this into our goal setting? And how do we also support others? And what I love about the concept of emotional intelligence is we're giving someone else a tremendous gift without saying, okay, now brace yourselves, your emotional intelligence is about to increase. We're not saying that. We're not pointing out the fact that this is going to impact your emotional intelligence. It simply does. It becomes a natural part of your conversation. It becomes a natural part of how you lead others, how you communicate with others, and how you communicate with yourself. I want to hear from you. Okay, and the final thought, and then I want to hear from you. Learn how to develop emotional intelligence. So you're going to discover some strategies that you can practice to develop your emotional intelligence muscle. So let's do this really quickly, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, it's like you're building a muscle. Emotional intelligence is a skill. Yes, look at all these strong women and men. Oh my goodness, let's just, you know. Oh, double dosing it, Kathy over there. Okay, so it's a skill that we can develop. It's a skill that we can practice. And our practice makes permanent. So we want to hear from you. When you see that this is our area of focus for our time investment, which is going to be approximately 1 hour, I will stay on the line if there are people that didn't have a question addressed, or if they want to, as my friend Jeanette Forma would say, kibitz, as if you want to connect and chat, we'll be able to do that, and I'll stay on as long as the group would like. to connect. Who's excited about this? Who has a thought or a question around where we're planning to go? You can either unmute or you can type it into the chat box. Who would like to share? Okay, Dolly's saying, I'm having some technical opportunities and I'm still here. Yes, we call those tech ops, technical opportunities. That is an example of enlightened vocabulary. Rather than we have a problem, Houston, we have a technical opportunity. Rather than we have children in the background talking loudly while we're on our conference call, we have a technical opportunity or guest speakers. You may hear a guest speaker from time to time. That's a way for us to no longer get our panties in a ruffle, ladies and gentlemen. We can say boxers in a ruffle. Okay, Dolly, I love you too. All right, hi, never heard of this. Laura's saying, excited to hear and learn about this. Yes, and Dina said, that's cute. Yes, panties in a ruffle or boxers in a ruffle. And I always seem to have guest speakers. Yes, Lisa, that's a part of, that's becoming a new normal these days. And so, and how can we be merciful and patient with people as they're going through that? And how we respond to guest speakers and how we respond, that sets a tone for the relationship. Okay, let's see here. Seisha said, oh, they're coming in so fast. Excited to grow internally and connect better. Growing internally. Oh, what a beautiful statement. And connecting better. Okay, love it. Does this connect the emotional and intellectual sides of the brain? Kate, thank you. Yes, it absolutely does. Love it. And hi from New Zealand. Oh, beautiful, Jackie. Thank you for coming on the line all the way from a Kiwi from New Zealand. I love it. Okay, and people love the guest speakers because it adds life and reality and it's fun. Yes, Mecca, thank you so much. It's so true. And then I've been wanting to grow in this area. So when I saw your webinar, I was excited. Amanda, thank you. Absolutely. We're excited to be here with you. So we're going to dive right in. In emotional intelligence, EI. So there's a distinction. So I want you to jot this down. Actually, the founders of emotional intelligence, the people that discovered it, they wish they would have labeled it EI, emotional intelligence. And as you know, a lot of large corporations around the world are doubling down on artificial intelligence. And I believe we as a profession have an opportunity to double down on emotional intelligence, which is people intelligence. Being people intelligent, emotional intelligence, there's so much value to that. So EI is emotional intelligence, and then emotional quotient is what they ended up calling it. EQ, your emotional quotient. And as you can see here by this slide, that is the measurement. So where EQ is really the quotient or the measurement of how emotionally intelligent you are. And we're going to talk about the definitions of these two. So I wanted, though, to bring this to the forefront. John Mayer did call it EQ, emotional intelligence. I wanted, though, for you to be able to see the distinction and how important it is to know the difference between the two. So Peter Salovey and John D. Mayer are the founders of emotional intelligence. And this is how they defined it. And you're welcome to take a picture. You're also going to receive the recording. If you do want to, though, have the specifics. A form of social intelligence that involves the ability to monitor one's own, so do this with me right now, own and others' feelings and emotions. To discriminate, or another word for that would be to discern or to identify. Those would be my preferred words. I went to go and make an enhancement to this message, and I was like, this is a quote. So I'm going to leave it as is and then communicate verbally. My preferred word, an enlightened word, would be to discern or to be able to distinguish among them, and to use this information to guide one's thinking and action. Okay, to guide one's thinking and action. Now, this is a mentor of ours. This is his definition, and I love it. It's very clear and concise for me, and I appreciate his perspective. Emotional intelligence is being intelligent about our emotions and then using our emotions to unlock, okay, unlock our intelligence. So I want you to do the gestures with me. So being intelligent about our emotions and then using these emotions to unlock our intelligence. Okay. So when you use your gestures, just as you're seeing me use them on this camera, this is a little side note, it will make the experience that you're having on this Zoom memorable. It's an accelerated learning technique. It also is a way when you're leading and facilitating a call, your body gestures punctuate your verbal gesture or your verbal expression. So body language punctuates your message. That's another way of putting it. Now, that was a side note. Brace yourselves for side notes throughout the evening. Lots of side notes. Okay, and so this was Ed King, and he is a Chief Neurogamification Officer for UEQ. He is a gentleman that has supported me in unlocking my emotional intelligence and then also being very thoughtful and mindful about this as I'm coaching and interacting with others. This has become a go-to tool that I use daily. So let's take a look here. What makes EQ important in our business and in our lives? I want to hear from you. What do you think makes emotional intelligence or emotional quotient important to our business and lives? Who's willing to share, whether it be in the chat or unmute your line and verbally share? We would love to hear from you. Okay, let's see. So you can either type in or simply unmute.
I would say, Grace, that since our business can have ups and downs, that have our emotional intelligence to be steady while life is like this, especially during a pandemic.
Oh yes, absolutely. And you can actually set yourself up for success in this area. And I have an technical opportunity. So one moment while I address that.
Okay. All right, questions are coming up.
Okay. So
we got a couple of questions, Grace.
Thank you. Please, let's see here. So we've got, and please forgive me if I'm mispronouncing your name. Let's take a look. Only 10% of actual communication is words. The rest is tone, intent, and body language. Yes, Gayla. Yes, very small percentage of what we communicate is through our words. To be able to communicate more effectively with customers and team. So this was a comment based on the question that I've asked, which is what makes EQ important to our business and lives? Yes. Okay, let's take another look here. We are in a human business, and dealing with humans requires high EQ. Absolutely. And actually, approximately 90% of high achievers have high emotional intelligence. So you may want to jot that down. Approximately 90% of high achievers have high emotional intelligence. And on average, people with high emotional intelligence earn approximately $30,000 or more per year than people with lower emotional intelligence. I know some of you are like, I saw you. She's like, oh, you got my attention. You had me at hello. I love it. Okay, so it helps us know what's needed for ourselves and those we serve. Thank you, Mecca. Yes, what is needed for ourselves and those we serve. All right, let's take another. We've got another few comments here. This enables you not to react to the immediate crisis before thinking of consequences of an action. Absolutely. So we're thoughtful, we're heartful before we make a decision. We are more likely to respond versus react to something that's taking place. Very good point. Change happens more on an emotional level rather than a rational level. So important to be aware and to connect there. So change happens more on an emotional level. Yes, that is so true. We are more likely to move. People are more likely to move based on emotion than they will based on logic. So how do we connect to that? Let's see here. I absolutely connect better when I get on the phone and speak to a person and get to know them. Thank you, Laura. And Dana said, how can one determine how high their EQ is? Well, there's the emotional quotient of, so how agile are you as you're interacting and communicating with people? How do conversations flow? The higher your emotional intelligence is, it's almost like the conversation flowed seamlessly. It was enjoyable. You were able to interact and you left the interaction, both of you, elevated. How else can you measure emotional intelligence? It's again that concept of reading people, being able to observe and to seek to understand. And people will often share with you, I feel like you get me, or I think that you heard me, or this was wonderful. It's also a foundation for a strong foundation for healthy and mutually flourishing relationships. So if, in addition to that, I'm going to give you some other tools that you can begin practicing to continue to increase your emotional intelligence. Also, people with higher emotional intelligence are able to, they have an expansive emotional vocabulary. And I was fascinated by this, with thousands of words that are available to us to describe our emotional intelligence. On average, people use approximately 12. On average. I know. Drop it like it's not hot. It's not hot. It's not hot. So that whole concept of expanding our emotional intelligence, that's a strategy. Excuse me. Expanding our emotional vocabulary is a strategy for increasing our emotional intelligence. Yeah, I know. And so also, I think with emotional intelligence, another measurement or another indication that there's high emotional intelligence is that there are strong relationships that are formed, or that you can connect quickly with a person you've never met. You almost feel like you've known each other all of your life, or you've known them and really you just met them a few minutes ago. It is likely that you or they are bringing high emotional intelligence to the table. Okay, some of you are like, yes, okay. All right. Thank you. What great questions and comments. Let's see here. EQ helps us find balance, to accept our feelings when we are feeling them, but not to react immediately. such a great example. Alexandra, hello, my dear, all the way from the East Coast. It's a pleasure to have you on the line too. My goodness, look at this. It's like a family reunion on here. And then A and V factor into, okay, excuse me. Dolly, please elaborate on your question, if you would. Oh, thank you. How does A and V factor into EQ? Acknowledgement and validation. Yes. So how does acknowledgement and validation factor into emotional intelligence? So let me give you a few strategies. One is to use words like I'm sensing. So I'm sensing that there's some frustration, or I'm sensing that there's some concern, or it's or I want to ensure that I'm gathering this accurately. There is a sense of nervousness around the unknown. So being able to validate or to affirm or acknowledge what they are processing through, what they are sharing or not sharing with us. So in essence, my friends, it's almost like a willingness for us to go deeper than the surface. See, sometimes these are the easy conversations. Let's just say here in the surface. The harder conversations are the ones where we are interested and curious in service to this other person. We're interested and curious. We want to create a space for them to come forward with a solution to address it. So again, that whole concept of what makes EQ important in our business and our lives, this is a strategy and a tool and a skill that we can use, whether it be with ourselves, with our children, with our customers and clients, with our, of course, our significant others. My husband always tells me, you and our children are my greatest specimens. I practice all of my new content on you. I said, this is why we've been married so long, honey. This is it. I coach you. Okay, so how does emotional intelligence impact goals? You know, I know that there is so much, there's such a significant aspect of our business and our profession that is structured around goals. And I was thinking as I was preparing for this call, what would bring the greatest value to the people that are going to be on the line? And if your word is not goals, your word is vision, your word is purpose, your word is significance, your word is my guiding light, my why, my reason for this business, whatever it may be, how does emotional intelligence impact that? And so that's the reason that we're having this conversation right now is I wanted to give you something specific that I thought would be useful to increase your results in the business. So I'm going to go through a process that has emotional intelligence woven throughout a goal setting strategy. And for many of you, have just gone through your new year in the business, or you are about to experience your new year. You're about to reset your new year. And this is going to play a significant role in that. And the reason for that is sometimes people see the end of their year with their company as a stop sign versus as a road sign. It's almost like, okay, I have worked with adrenaline until the very end and then collapsed at the day after the end of the month. And it takes a few weeks or even a month to pull ourselves together to get moving again. And so that's why this is super important. I call it a reset. And resetting or reassessing our goal or our reason for the business is meant to happen once or more per year. And it's meant to happen when there's a highly emotional event. So it could be a birth, a death, a divorce, an empty nesting. It could be our current global circumstances where people are experiencing a new perspective, and they're it's almost like they're seeking and searching for, okay, who am I? Who do I be? How do I live out my life? How do I continue to move forward with what's happening? And 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 do it with vigor. Do it with enthusiasm. Do it with being the greatest expression of myself. So how does emotional intelligence impact goals? Who has a thought around this? Or you're unmuted, you have a question, or you have a comment, or a response. Go ahead. Anna, and I think you're unmuted, Anna. Did you have a comment or a question? Gail said, one can be creative. Yes. Yes, so how does emotional intelligence impact goals? Creativity. Yes, absolutely. Reflection, discernment, presence, clarity. I love it. Brene Brown said it so well. She said, clear is kind. Unclear is unkind. Super simple. I was like, locked and loaded, locked and loaded. I was like, that is so genius. Thank you, Brene. Thank you so much. Clear is kind, unclear is unkind. And so if we're not clear on our vision, our goal, our purpose, the purpose for our lives, we're being unkind to self. And we're also being unkind to all those that we serve. When we have that clarity, wow, it's like we bring our best to each conversation. We bring our best to pretty much everything that we do and everything that we be. I love this. So how does emotional intelligence impact goals? Focus and direction. Yes, Rachel, thank you. Focus and direction. Kristen said, your experiences can change your why, or they can alter your why. They can influence your why. And affirmations. Thank you, Laura. Okay, so let's give you a few tools. So I want you to do this right now. Take your hand and I want you to put it by your side. Okay, put it by your side. So what you did is you just took, we're gonna give you some tools and you're gonna put them in your tool belt. Okay, just do that with me. Tool belt, hey, tool belts, hey. You may not use these every day in every way. You may not use them every day. And that's okay because they're safely placed in your tool belt. So when the opportunity presents itself, you will be able to pull it out of your tool belt and serve it. Use it to serve someone else. Okay, and to serve those you love. So number one, we're going to talk about establishing. How is this for everyone? I want to make sure, I'm going to check in with you before I dive into number one. How is this for you? Let me get a raise the roof or something. I've got a couple of hands up, thumbs up. We've got some thumbs up going on. Okay, we've got several raise the roofs. Oh, we've even got family over here. I think that's my friend Angie. Is that my friend Angie? Oh my gosh, my best friend from when I was 6 years old is on this line. That's right. Oh my goodness, Angie, I love you. I'll share with you all a quick, brief story about my friend Angie. So years ago, she came to our coach school, and it was such a blessing to have her there and to be able to serve her life and her family in that manner. And so she comes to this coach school, and then in the middle of class, like she stands up and she's like, I've got to say something. She's like, you have been doing this to me all of these years. No wonder I love you so much. That's what she said. She was like, you have been doing this to me all these years, and that's why I love you so much. Practicing coaching, practicing serving with this skill. So, oh my gosh, what a joy to see you on the line. I love it. Okay. All right. So thank you. I'm glad this is resonating and that you're excited for more. Okay. So establishing our goal.
Grace, I think we lost your volume. Oh no. Are others having trouble hearing? Yeah, no, we can't hear you.
I thought it was me, but it's obviously
Yeah.
not. Thank you.
Oh, I think.
Okay.
Oh, good.
See here, there's always a solution. Okay. One moment. Okay. It attempted to do this. Always a solution. Work with us. We must be up to something big, because anytime that happens, we're up to something big. How is that?
Perfect.
Wonderful. See, that's when I know we're doing something significant. Okay? So that's anytime something like that happens, I'm like, ooh, we're up to something good. Say that. We are up to something good. Okay. So we have a couple of questions that I wanted to share with you. And I'd like to, let's see here. Okay. So this is the first series of questions that I'm going to give you. So I want you to imagine you're asking yourself this question. What am I thinking? So when it comes to a goal that you're setting, ask yourself, what am I thinking? And not with judgment. Notice the tone. Well, what am I thinking? Or what was I thinking? That's like left hook, right hook, uppercut, uppercut. So if we say it with judgment, that could be a form of putting ourselves down versus saying it in a neutral way or in a kind and loving manner. Sometimes we will say things or give ourselves an approach that we would never give to someone else. We wouldn't say that in that tone to anyone else, and we're saying it to ourselves. And so I want to encourage you to ask that, what am I thinking right now in a loving way? What am I thinking? Or what are some of the thoughts that I'm having around this goal? What are some of the thoughts? What thought may be hindering my progress? What thought will bounce me forward? That also is a reframe. Some people, they use that term, oh, I'm bouncing back. Who wants to go backwards? Oh, I'm bouncing back. Okay. Or I'm bouncing forward. So what thought will support me to bounce forward? So these are some questions that you can ask as you're establishing your vision. What am I thinking? And what am I feeling? So what am I feeling? What this question does is it supports you to identify the significance, the meaning. Remember Viktor Frankl in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, he said meaning is the most powerful driving force in all of humankind. Meaning. And so what am I feeling? What is the significance of this? And whatever we resist persists. So if we're resisting it, it's going to persist until we give it the attention it deserves. So if I would prefer to have something, I would prefer to feel a certain way. I may say, if I said to myself, I feel sad, let's say, I feel sad. I'm expressing my feeling. This again it impacts our emotional intelligence. I'm expressing my feeling. I'm putting words to the emotion. And then it's almost like it's coming to the surface so I can do something about it. So I may say, yeah, I'm feeling sad. And then I could ask myself, well, how would I prefer to feel? That's a reframe technique. How would I prefer to feel? Or what feeling would be opposite of sad? What would be the opposite of sad? Again, reframe. And I want you to do this with me right now as we're on this line. Reframe. We have an opportunity to reframe the thought. What am I feeling? How would I prefer to feel? What would be a feeling that will move me closer, or move me in the direction of the fulfilling relationships that I'm seeking with my team? Or what will move me in the direction of what feeling will support me to engage with people? Because sometimes what's happening is people are so isolated that it's almost like they've gotten out of the rhythm of connection. How many of you can relate to that? Gotten out of the rhythm of connection. Yes, thank you for raising your hand. Versus, okay, how am I feeling? How would I prefer to feel? And what would support me to be willing to reach out to others that may be in that state of out of the rhythm of connecting? Because we're in the people business. We are in a people profession. And if we're not connecting, we're not serving. So what am I feeling? Again, you're tuning in. And then the follow-up question around this is, what can I do about it? So what could be done about this? How can I address this? How can I take ownership? How can I take responsibility? See, sometimes something that is happening right now in our world is there's a lot of blaming. There's a lot of shaming, and there's a lot of justification. And that, my friends, is victim. So do this with me. Victim. Victim. Blaming someone else. Somebody else did this to me. Somebody else is forcing me to go on this computer and do my business online. I mean, my gosh. Don't they know I don't know how to do that? So blaming, shaming, and justification, that's victim language. Versus victor is taking ownership, taking responsibility. What is my role? And these are going to be such important questions. Please do this with me. I'm going to catch all of this. Like, I'm going to catch this. I'm going to savor it. And I am going to catch it and release it. What I mean by that is you're going to catch it and you're going to bring it in and use it for yourself. And then you're going to release it onto the world. So catch and release. There are some opportunities to use some language that are within this realm of responsibility. And these are victor approaches, okay? I can't see myself, so hopefully my twos are in screen. I'd prefer to look at you all than look at myself. Okay, I see myself every day. I want to see you. Okay, so victor. What is within my sphere of influence? This is an important question. What is within my sphere of influence? Where in my life do I have a say? So what do I have a say in? What do I have a say in? What are my options? So what options are available to me? So rather than settling for what is, we can get creative and tap into our creativity by asking ourselves, what options are available? Think about this with someone that's giving you an excuse. Oh, you've been in this business for 30 years. I have not. I don't think I'd be any good at this. I just don't think you can teach an old dog new tricks. Versus what options are available to you to learn some new tricks? What options are available? You see where I'm coming with? Where am I going with this? What's resonating for you? Possibilities, yes. What are the possibilities? As Roy Disney once said, become a possibilitarian. So what are the possibilities available to me right now? These are all victor questions. Yes, I'm open to possibilities. moving from reaction to being more thoughtful. Yes, we're going to be thoughtful and respond versus react. Staying in the creative and having a flexible mindset is key. Thank you, Gayla. Yes. And I think we have a little bit of noise. I'm not sure. There we go. Okay, yes, Rachel's question. Please share some Victor language. Okay, Lisa. Okay, thank you, Rachel. Fantastic question. So Victor language is I get to, I choose, I prefer, I expect, I am in the process of. And you could even say it as we expect, we prefer, we are in the process of. This is I choose, I have the dignity of choice. This is coming from a place of inspiration versus force, being pushed. I have to, I need to, I must, versus I get to, I choose to, I expect, I prefer, I'm grateful, I'm thankful, I'm faithful. You get that? Yes, this is so fun. I'm loving it. Okay, being open to the opportunities to learn, not withstanding being older. Yes, Laura, being open. And also being open to people that carry wisdom, the wisdom keepers. As I shared with you, my best friend from when I was 6 years old is on this line. And then I also have a dear friend of mine who is 65 years old. And I'm not going to say who's who in the zoo. You don't know her name. And I'm not like airing that out. She's on here as well. So and we're great friends. She's a wisdom keeper. So it's almost like being as wise women, we're open to learning from others and regardless of their age. So yes, thank you for that. You're never too old to learn. I love it, Dana. Thank you. So these are some questions. Now, I use this specifically with my 9-year-old and 12-year-old. That's right. So let me go back for a second because this is such an important tool. So there was a disagreement with my 9-year-old and my 12-year-old, and I had an opportunity to address it. And I could have trained them, I could have scolded them, I could have grounded them, and I chose to practice this skill because I have a desire to elevate my children's emotional intelligence. They are my greatest, they are, as my friend Marnie would say, my greatest disciples. So I am going to definitely make that investment in them. So what am I thinking? I asked my son, so share with me, son, what are some of the thoughts that you're having around this situation that took place with your sister? And he said to me what that was. And then I asked him, and how do you feel about that? And he shared with me how he felt. Then I moved to my daughter and I said, sweetheart, what are some of your thoughts around what just took place? And and she shared, and how do you feel about it? Then I followed up by asking, son, what could be done to address this? And he shared with me his insight. He said, well, we can avoid each other for the next 2 hours or more. And I asked my daughter, I said, and sweetheart, what do you believe could be done, again, to address this? She said, we could hug each other and say we're sorry. And I said, so it sounds like there's an opportunity to hug and apologize with one another and then to give each other space for the next hour or two. They hugged each other, apologized, and walked out my office door. And I literally looked around my computer and I was like, this stuff works. So excited. So yes, all ages. Interesting. And so my husband, he's not watching this obviously right now. And I used this on him. I'm like, honey, what are you thinking about that? And how are you feeling around that? And what could we do about it? Oh, it's like, just go like this. That's hot. Okay, so it's a goal setting strategy, and it's also a way to communicate, to create awareness. That my children both felt heard. They both realized that their voice mattered, that they were given an opportunity to have the floor. Okay, so it's rather than speaking over each other, you have the floor. And I just gave you, again, who's ready for it? Sidebar, sidebar. Yeah. This is what you're doing when you have palm up and you're pointing, and in this case, we're pointing to the camera on our computer screen. What this is saying is you have the floor. It is a facilitation technique and a gesture, especially when you're live in person or virtually. Please share with us versus talk. Please share with us your thoughts. So again, this is a facilitation technique, palm up and in the direction of the person speaking. You're giving them the floor. You're moving all of the thoughts and concentration to the person that's speaking. And it's a way of honoring that individual. Okay, I want to hear from you. What are some of your ahas, your light bulbs, you're like, oh my goodness, I could use this yesterday. All of that. I want to hear from you. We want to hear from you. What are you picking up?
Grace, it's Barbara.
Yes, Barbara.
When you did that, I couldn't help but think of Jimmy Carter at Peace Talks. I couldn't help but think when he and his wife would put out their hands to people in other countries and do exactly what you said. You may have the floor, it's your turn, you're going to be validated and listened to. So I see this on a global scale as well as individually.
Wow. Oh, Barbara, thank you for bringing that forward. So as Jimmy Carter communicated globally, he and his wife would honor people by giving them the floor. Oh, beautiful.
Yeah,
Barbara.
he got Nobel Prizes for that.
Wow.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that wisdom,
Sure.
Barbara.
Sure.
Can I add something to that, Grace?
Please, Dolly, yes.
I love that you shared that because they have done studies that show people trust you more and they're more receptive when they can see your hands. So when you're doing any kind of video, whether it's Zoom or BombBomb or things like that, you do want to make sure that you're leading at the front with your hands. And as you taught me so long ago, having that open posture allows us to be fully receiving as well. So I think all of that goes hand in hand there.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much. Wow, that's powerful. So the studies have been done that there's trust is built when people can actually see your hands.
Yes.
Thank you for that, Dolly. Brilliant. Oh, see, I will give you a virtual, you two ladies, Barbara, Dolly, virtual bonuses, virtual tips. That's right, yes. Catch and release it. Blanca said catch and release is powerful. It's powerful. Yes, we're going to catch these concepts and then we're going to release it unto the world. Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay. So we're making progress. So I want to share with you another strategy around your goal setting, and that is to create a plan. Creating a plan is almost like having a course. You're plotting a course. You're clear on where you're going, and you have a plan to make it a reality, to realize it. So there is a strategy that again supports emotional intelligence elevation, and it's also a coaching technique, which is open-ended questions. And these are some of the greatest prompters of open-ended questions: who, what, when, where, and how. So who questions, what, when, where, and how. And what that does is that opens up the dialogue. It creates this rich interaction versus did, would, are, can, could, is. All of those create a yes or no response. It almost stifles The creativity stifles the interaction. So we encourage you to ask who, what, when, where, how questions. And I want to give you a specific example here of a how question around goal setting and also elevating your emotional intelligence. So one quick example is, how will you feel when this goal becomes a reality? So we're bringing in the feel. How will you feel when this goal becomes reality? What you're also doing is you're creating a future pacing so that you're giving people that you're interacting with the space and grace to future pace or to imagine that that goal has been brought to light and to life. So sometimes seeing is believing. Sometimes having clarity around what the end, beginning with the end in mind, this is the question that can create a rich environment for that to happen. So again, very specific to how. And I learned from a book that I've been reading that from an FBI negotiator that two of the most strategic questions that you can ask are how and what questions. They're strategic and they're also solution oriented. So how is that possible? How will it feel? How could this become your reality? How? So how will you feel when this goal becomes a reality? And then the next follow-up question to that is, how do you think this goal can become a reality? So you're tapping into the emotion and the logic. The emotion and the logic. So it was a slight variation. So that's what we want to encourage you to practice and make permanent, are those open-ended questions. And notice, it was a very slight variation and it took on a whole new meaning. So I'll back up for a second so you can see it. Slight variation. How will you feel when this goal becomes a reality? And then how do you think this goal can become a reality? So slight variation to, it's a rich environment for two unique responses. You're tapping into both the logic and the emotion. Okay, I have a few more things that I want to share. If everyone, how are we doing? What else are you grabbing? What's come up?
Grace,
Yes.
just every time I get to be in your space, I always, and it's just kind of like popping into my head right now, but the way you use your hands to speak, it's like age old, like Polynesian dancing or Native American dancing, how they're telling their story and welcoming and including. And that's, I feel like I'm always so drawn in to listening because you're like the whole experience, all the senses are lots of the senses. I can't smell you, but I can see you and hear you. But you know, I'm imagining tuberose or something, but so good. It's just so, you can't help but be drawn in when you're using all these things to communicate. When people feel welcome and comfortable, they're going to communicate better and hear you better.
Oh my goodness. Yes, absolutely. So what a beautiful acknowledgement. Thank you so much. When we bring all of ourselves to an interaction and we're present, that being fully present is such a gift. And it's almost like, it's like, okay, I'm centered. I am with the people that we are with. We're centered with you, focusing on you. It is all about you. When I understand you better, or I get to learn more about you, I can serve you better. If I am interacting and I only understand myself, I'm not bringing my best to the interaction. And that is old school in our profession. Old school in our profession was, let's convince them to do this, or let's talk a lot. Let's share. Let's give all of the information. This may, hopefully you all are are all set with your meals and so forth, vomit. We vomit. We used to vomit all over people. Projectile. And because we were so excited and enthusiastic about everything that we wanted to share, we've got a great product, we've got a great company, we've got a blah, 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 blah. And we knew nothing about our prospect. New school is to seek to understand. Share with me a bit more about you. I'm interested. I'm curious. There's a wonderment. You had me at hello. I'm leaning in. That's how we can serve people best in our profession and beyond. That's how we can serve people best in general. So thank you for that. So number 3, we're going to navigate ups and downs. So I want you to do that with me real quick. Navigating ups and downs, navigating ups and downs. So it's not always smooth sailing, and that's okay. This is what I'm going to give you as a tool. This is a tool. Remember the tool. This is another question that I'll ask you to ask yourself or to ask someone else. And I want to hear from you. So go ahead and type this into the chat box. When do your emotions work for you? So give us some examples of when your emotions work for you. Type that into the chat box. When do your emotions work for you? When you honor them. Yes, well, when you honor them, I'm going to honor my emotion. I'm going to feel the feelings. I'm going to address it. Okay, yes, absolutely, Shelley, thank you. When passion is flowing, when you are very sincere and caring. Yes, so when do your emotions work for you? This is a powerful question when you're others focused, when I am present and listening to hear and not to speak. Yes, so I'm listening to hear the words, not necessarily to come up with my response to the message. So when do your emotions work for you? And then when do your emotions work against you? So when are you finding your emotions working against you? Okay, let's hear it. When do your emotions work against you? When I suppress them, yes. So when I sweep them under the rug or suppress them or don't address them, when I'm not rested or not exercising or not eating properly, when we allow them to determine our actions. Oh goodness, you all are so brilliant. This is amazing. When you let them get the best of you. Yes, thank you, Renee. When you, let's see here, and Maria said the same thing, when you let them get the best of you. When you're caught up in how you feel, when my ego is popping up. Yes, when I'm upset, just a quick react before thinking. Yes, so when do your emotions work against you? And then this is an additional question that I'd like for you to ponder beyond our time together today, and that is, when was the last time that this happened? So if you had something that worked for you, an emotion, when your emotions were working for you or with you, and you were moving in with the flow of the river, you were in flow, when were your emotions working for you? I want you to think about when the last time that happened. When was the last time that this happened? Or when they're working against you, when was the last time that this happened? So you're able to identify and distinguish, okay, what is the environment like? Or what are my thoughts like? Or what are my feelings like that are contributing to having emotions working against me or for me? So this is another strategy. And then the final thought that I wanted to share with you tonight is celebrating the milestones. This is so significant, especially with emotional intelligence, because sometimes what happens is that with a goal, we hit the goal. Okay, next. Okay, done. Okay, that's checked off. Okay, moving forward. Oh, okay, made it happen. Okay, we're going next. Or the goal is so far out that we lose stamina before we get there. So we either don't celebrate and move on to the next thing, or we're holding our celebration thinking, oh, I'll wait until this is done before I'll even give myself a pat on the back or do a little happy dance. So celebrating the milestones, this, my friends, is where your endurance is built. your goal achievement, your goal getting endurance is built with the celebration of milestones. And so combine your feeling and thinking. So what I'm going to encourage you to do beyond our call is to combine your feeling and thinking. And one way to accomplish this is to, when something comes to you, is to be able to share with yourself, I'm feeling this way. So I'll give you an example. I feel grateful for our time together tonight. And I think that this was a blessing, a mutual blessing and gift. So I think this was a mutual blessing and gift. So I feel grateful, and I think that this was a mutual blessing and a gift, our time together this evening. That's a way for you to connect the feeling and thinking and bringing it to center. So combining your thinking and feeling whenever something comes up, using that strategy or that tool. The other strategy and tool for raising emotional intelligence is to feel, then take a deep breath, and then share what you think about that topic. So it could be, I feel courageous, or I feel courageous, and then deep breath. When I think about all of the, I feel courageous when I think about, and I mean, let me be transparent here. I feel courageous when I think about lives that are going to catch and release this message. I feel courageous. I feel grateful when I think about all the lives that are going to catch and release tonight's conversation. That is, again, another exercise of a way to center and also to raise emotional intelligence. So again, you're either doing this with yourself or you're giving the gift to someone else. Oh my goodness, that was, we could have been on here all night. So I want to hear from you. Anyone willing to share quick insights or thoughts or something that you are feeling excited about with regards to tonight's conversation? Or questions?
I'll go. Grace, can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Amanda.
Oh my gosh, it's so good to see your beautiful face. Thank you so much for your time and just everything you do. I'm just always grateful to learn from you. So what I'm taking my insight away from and elevating the self-coaching to do for myself so that I can serve other people better. And I think becoming just aware again that in the life we're living now in terms of COVID, that mindset out there doesn't have to be the mindset up here. And so just because it's out there, I get to choose and be responsible for what's up here. So just thank you for the refresher and the reminder to take that responsibility with just better questions. So I'm excited to use everything you shared tonight. So thank you.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing, Amanda, and your willingness to play full out. Yes. So just because something's happening out here doesn't mean that it's got to happen in here or in here.
Let me get back.
I have a choice. Yes. Thank you for that. Anyone else with a comment or a thought or a question?
Go lay down.
Yes, so Grace, Maria Olson here. Thank you so much. I took pages of copious notes. I so appreciate you. And one of the many things that you had shared that really touched me is not connecting is not serving. Oh my goodness, that is so powerful. And that just changes everything. So thank you for that, of many nuggets that you shared. Always appreciate you so much.
Oh my goodness, Maria, it is so good to see you again. I missed you so much in Wisconsin, Maria from Wisconsin. I love it. You just took me back to Marnie's kitchen. What a blessing. So by not connecting, we're not serving. Yeah. Wow. Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
So our intention for our, anytime we do something like this, our intention is always to give and to serve and to bring to light and to life some of the strategies that we've been practicing for over 20 years. And so one opportunity that we have is we're going to do a coach school virtually that you are welcome to plug into. If you've attended coach school in the past, you get to come for 50% off. If you have an interest in that, I'm going to be teaching majority of the course for this upcoming level 1, which is called Coach School Express. So some of what you heard, example, coaching questions and open-ended questions, that's an aspect of what we teach. This course is going to take place throughout October. So I definitely want, if you have an interest in it, I definitely want you to consider playing full out with us virtually and experiencing coach school. Some of the things that people share with me that they love about it is when you go to a live school, you'll have, and this happens all the time. Can you repeat that? Can you repeat that, Grace? Nope. It just comes down and comes out and one hit wonder. So that is the beauty of the virtual experience, that you get to listen to it over and over and over again. So what I decided, my mother doesn't even know this, I made this decision before I did this call, that anyone that registers and makes their investment in full between now and next week, Thursday, will receive a one-on-one complimentary coaching with me. So whether you're a returning student or you are a new student to our coaching school experience and you register, I will personally, individually coach you for one coaching call, one coaching interaction on any subject that you'd like to be coached around. And so that is for people that make their investment and register paid in full between now and next Thursday. And if you've already registered for the upcoming coach school that we have, I will still give you that gift because I want to honor that you have already plugged in and already are registered. So I'm going to put it in the chat box, the link to that school that I'm going to be teaching majority of. I think I'm teaching 5 or 6 out of the 8 segments, 5 or 6 out of the 8 segments. So, and I don't often do that. And really because Kathy, who's also on this line, she was like, Grace, you're not coming to North Carolina. And I said, no, not in this season. And I said, if I do teach it though, I'll teach majority of it. So that's hot off the presses. So anyone else with, oh, Dolly just said that's worth all the dollars, peeps, just to have a one-on-one. Dolly, thank you. That is so thoughtful of you. Oh my goodness. Okay, anyone else? Oh, and Dolly said she's heading to coach school certification. Yes, 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 and it's gone through Express and Advanced multiple times and always new nuggets. Yes, it's constantly evolving. See, this is something that I want to share with you. If we're standing still, we're behind. If we're standing still, we're behind. And so as our profession evolves, as our lives and our world evolves, so too we have an opportunity to evolve and to refine and to become the better version of ourselves. And this is something that I feel compelled to share with you for whatever reason. Our greatest competition, because many times in our profession, there's competition that's happening. To me, my greatest competition is the best version of me yesterday. My best version of self yesterday is my greatest competition. That's who I get to compete with today, to see how could I be better today than I was yesterday? What would be one new thing that I could access to learn something new so I can serve others better? So that I want to encourage you to think about, okay, really, that's who we're competing with. Our best yesterday self versus the rest of the world and the planet. So anyone else with a thought or a comment or a question or an insight or anything?
You have some comments, Grace.
Oh my goodness. I see this. Oh, Pam, thank you. We're happy you're here. Christian said, will advance be offered online as well? Yes, Mr. Christian, it sure will. It sure will. Yes, and Christian has come with his wife multiple times to coach school. That's so beautiful too, because then we have many husbands and wives that are on this line actually. And what has been so beautiful is that they're speaking the same language. They're on the same page. They have learned similar things. So when they come to coach school or go through coach school, they're in sync. And yeah, I love it. Great question, Christian. Just love you so much. Renee, thank you. You're an absolute gift. Oh, that is so thoughtful. Thank you so much. And you all are a gift to our lives. Every interaction that we have, we can learn something new. And that's the beauty of coming together in this fashion, is we get to learn from each other. And Mecca said, much gratitude for you, Grace, and for sharing your wisdom and heart and soul with us on this topic. Oh my goodness, thank you. Transformational and relationships, yes, and one-on-one with you, Grace, is golden. Quick question. I was just looking at the website. Is the class on Wednesdays and Thursday nights? Yes. Or is the class on Wednesday and Thursday nights? Yes, the course is taking place each Wednesday and Thursday night starting on October 7th, and it will conclude on October 29th. And so every class is interactive. We also break you up into groups so that you can paired share and collaborate in small group settings. Also, they're going to be recorded. The courses are going to be recorded so that you can replay them consistently. Just like this call was recorded for all of you. If you want to go and to revisit what you experienced on tonight's call. Great question.
Grace,
Okay.
may I appreciate the recordings? I've never done a live class, but I've done 2 online. And my family listens to the recordings through every meal. So they walk around the house and they go, well, Nikki said this, and Grace said this. And I think the fact that they have been exposed to the recordings because they were left on for a month, that has been the greatest gift to my family and to myself, to be able to listen to them again and again and again. So that was a blessing. I didn't even expect doing a class online. It has been fabulous. And my husband just raves about what he's learned. So,
oh my gosh. Barbara, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, Barbara shared with me the other day. She was like, we all had dinner together. I was like, oh, that's fabulous. What were we eating?
yes.
Oh, Barbara, thank you so much. And yes, it becomes a family experience, a family dynamic. This was so beautiful. Nelson Mandela said this at one stage. This was his quote, and it has stayed with me. And I'm so grateful for his message. He said, speak in a way that I can understand, and you speak to my mind. Speak my language, and you speak to my heart. And so as we all learn these skills together, we're able to speak a similar language and really connect with the people that we love. That's a thought. Thank you for that, Barbara. Anyone else with a... Hi, Crystal.
Sorry, I thought I was muted.
Oh, it's all good. I'm used to, I call my babies chewy snacks. Lots of chewy snacks. Yes, chewy morsels and chewy snacks. Okay, let's see here. I'm so happy my daughter Renee encouraged me to join. Thank you so much. I will be doing coaching school. Laura, thank you. Oh my goodness. This is exciting. I love it. It's a family experience. Anyone else with a final question or anything that I can do to serve you with our time together this evening?
Grace, I can say every time we talk, I take pages of notes, and I'm so excited for Coach School.
Oh,
I've attended once, excited for it again.
Oh, yes. Yes. Kathy came all the way from North Carolina to Miami, Florida. I think you drove.
I did. Yeah, Dave and I.
Yes. I was like, that is determination.
And it was worth it.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Anyone else with a final thought, question, insight? It's your opportunity. Okay. Wow. Oh, well, this has been beautiful. I appreciate it. Sending you big whoosh, Grace. Yes. Thank you, Dolly. Wow. Okay. Well, yes. So that is a little caveat. Somebody said, I get so excited every time I come on these calls. Yes. So either people, when they come to coach school or when they come online to these things, they either sleep soundly or they don't sleep. So it's one or the other. They're like, I slept like a baby, or I did not sleep. I just kept thinking all night. So be prepared, for let's see who you are. Which version of you. Is the DSWA app available? Yes, Alexandra, the DSWA app is available. And Nikki, my mother, business partner, and I do those calls once a week. You get a new one. And right now you can have access for free, I think, for a couple of months. So you definitely want to go to the DSWA website to take a look for that app. It's completely, like I said, you can access it for free as a member benefit. And we're offering 2 months complimentary for people to be able to experience that gift of insight. Also, I forgot to mention this. I'm doing this call again next week, and it's never the same, by the way. So if you want to come again for a double dose, you're more than welcome. On the 15th, same time, and I'm going to do this call again for service-oriented industries. And so what I mean by that is people that are in leadership, whether that be ministry leadership, whether that be corporate leadership, whether that be in education leadership. I'm going to be sharing, can you imagine more children and more teachers and educators and more leaders using these skills of emotional intelligence and bringing out the best in people? Can you imagine all of that happening because they have the tools that you just got tonight? Woohoo! Yes. So that's what we're excited about. That's happening next week on the 15th at the same time. So if you want more information about that, you can email me directly, grace@dswa.org, grace@dswa.org, and that will let me know you want the info for next week. It'll also give us an opportunity to connect with each other. So that is a hot off the press item, and I will text you the link or image that you will be able to share forward with people that are either, again, that didn't make tonight's call or that are in professions that are not necessarily within our profession. So industries that are not within our profession. How do you feel about that? Yeah? Yeah? Okay, yeah. Oh, we got to raise the roof. Yes. Got a couple raise the roofs. Okay. Thank you all for staying on a little bit longer. This has been so special. You're going to receive the recording, and that can be in your toolbox. And then also you're welcome to share it with others that weren't able to come on tonight live. Also, you will have the new information for our next call on the 15th. And that's it. Thank you. Until we meet again. Aloha from the islands, everybody.
Thank you, Grace.
Thank you. See you all soon.
Bye.